Well, it's processing day here at House Flowers. Hello, Megan. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for letting me come visit.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for coming.
So we're in what you call the smallest flower shop in Shelton. How big is what is the square footage?
I gotta be close to 100 square feet. It's tiny. When I applied for my business license in this space, the legal occupancy is 3. So I was really thankful that they were gonna let me have at least 2 customers at once.
Legal occupancy for like the fire marshal or something?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
So
That's
three's
crazy.
a crowd.
Okay, well, we're here on your off day, so we should be okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, we arranged to do this today because you're closed, but you just came back from the market, and I thought it would be fun to just film you while you're processing, and we can talk while you work. Is that okay?
That sounds great.
Great. What you're doing is processing the flowers, but also creating your visual merchandising display, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
You've already put the dogwoods in a vase.
Oh, so beautiful.
Yeah.
This time of year is so special because everything feels so fleeting.
So Megan, would you have everything ultimately will be arranged on this bench, or?
Yes, yeah. In the winter time, I switched to have the fresh flowers on this side because it was a smaller selection.
Yeah.
So just visually, it's nicer to have everything sort of feeling really lush, and the mirror behind really helps kind of double the visual impact. But in the summertime, or springtime, things are really starting to come in. So I'll have tulips and narcissus from my own farm here tomorrow. They're in the cooler at my spot now. So tomorrow this will be totally packed.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So let's just talk a little bit about House Flowers and can you process and chat at the same time?
Yeah, I think so. I hope so.
I love it. Okay, as long as I'm not slowing down your vibe.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So you, first of all, I have to comment on how long those stems are on the ranunculus.
Incredible.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Um,
I think those are from Oregon.
okay, they're from a grower in Oregon?
Yes, yeah. I can look at the tag, but
That's okay.
yeah. Oh, no, that's
I know
the
you've got
dogwood.
everything at the Seattle Growers Market, so
Yes.
I know it's within Oregon or Washington, most
Yeah,
likely.
we're lucky for that.
Yeah, so when did you actually open your doors?
We opened in July of 2024. So
Wow,
yeah.
coming up on 2 years then.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I got the keys to the space, I think, in April, and did kind of a remodel as much as you can remodel a box, but made it a little flower shop, and popped the doors open in July.
Well, you painted this mural, I'm sure.
One of my really good friends, Molly, painted this mural. She is actually working on a project right now with Jody from the West Sound Floral Exchange. She's painting the flower bus.
Oh, fun.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
wow.
everybody's
hope
going to
to-
have a mural from Molly Wheatbaker if I can help it.
We hope to, that's wonderful. We hope to do a segment with them sometime later this spring, so that's good.
Fantastic.
I love that there's this feeling of community and also small creatives, small businesses helping each other.
Yeah, we really kind of have to support each other.
I'm so curious about this space. What had been in this space before you landed here, and what brought you to get the keys to the front door?
Yeah, it was vacant, and the woman who owns the coffee shop next door, Marmo, I was doing a CSA, and she was the pickup location. So when the space became vacant, she said, I think that maybe you should open a flower shop there. And I said, okay. So thankfully the overhead was really low,
Yep.
which I appreciate, small space, but it doesn't take much space to really have a lot of inventory for a flower shop. If it was any bigger, I feel like I'd be struggling to fill it. So
1,000 square feet you'd feel like you're swimming in it.
yeah, or then I feel like I wouldn't be able to be as intentional about like the hard goods, the other merchandise that I bring in. So I'm able to be kind of picky about the things that I have, and I feel lucky to have that luxury where it's like if I find one vendor and they have 5 things, then that's enough, and that's a nice
Right.
thing to bring into the store. So
Right, because I'm going to just turn around so people can see this on the either side of the mirror. You've got 2 etagere shelving units plus this shelf under the mirror. So you've got some vases, prints, jewelry, a few books, some house plants and watering cans, which is really fun, but they're of course very decorative and not common at all. Like you're really curating what you have. Like these brass watering cans are fantastic.
thank you.
So a little bit of boutique-y, small batch vibe in terms of what you're carrying. Yeah.
Yes.
I love it. Well, and that's nice because you want to have something for everyone. If they come in and they don't purchase flowers, they can buy a beautiful card or a beautiful, affordable pair of earrings, or I see these vintage lockets.
I know, aren't they
Just,
sweet?
just something that would be a beautiful gift.
Yeah, a lot of people comment on not being able to find places like this in Shelton, I guess,
Yeah.
where you can get a nice gift, a beautiful card, some flowers. Like I spent time in high-end retail in my past, and I thought it was really nice for people just to be able to do everything in one place. Like if you need a gift, you are going to someone's home and you don't want to arrive empty-handed, like there's something here for you.
Yeah, I love that. I love, and even in, grab and go arrangements if they don't have time to pre-order.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I keep paper wrapped bouquets. I'll usually do a couple little vase arrangements. And then sort of the process with the flowers is on Thursday when I open, I'll have everything in vases with the price marked per stem. So sort of a bouquet bar model. And then as people come and pick and the selection sort of narrows, I'll curate bouquets into wraps or arrangements as the weekend goes. So by Sunday, there may be 2 wrap bouquets and 1 arrangement left because I try really hard not to have a lot left over at the end of the week. 1 for business, but also because I hate waste.
Right,
I
right.
don't want these things to go to waste. And so I am trying to kind of cultivate a customer base that understands they either need to order ahead or get here early.
So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday are your open hours?
Correct.
Okay, great.
Yes.
That seems really like manageable in terms of work-life balance, although I know you're busy the other days.
Yes, yeah. Growing as much as I can for the shop too. So
Well, let's talk about the town of Shelton. It's on the Olympic Peninsula. When you talked about wanting to have a place where people can come buy a gift or arrive, with something to hand to the hostess, your competition, it seems, is like Walmart or a town 40 minutes away or a shopping mall. There's not a lot of independent retail in Shelton, right?
yeah, there are some that on the street in front of us, Railroad, which is like the main drag. There are a couple of shops. One does specialize in stuff that is made by people here in Shelton.
Oh, wonderful.
And then there's a lot of antique shops here, which I feel like Shelton is sort of this little hidden treasure of antique stuff.
I had no idea, but I noticed. I noticed a few really interesting storefronts because it's sunny and nice out today, so people
is
are
a
putting
beautiful
merchandise out on the, in front of their shops. Yeah, and so your customer base are mostly local residents, or is there a tourism area here?
Great question. Yes, both. So I do have some local regulars who I can't thank enough for helping keep the shop going. I mean, a flower lover is a flower lover, and so those are my people.
Yeah.
And then in the summertime, the Olympic Peninsula gets a ton of tourism. But that is one of the things that myself and the other business owners sort of in this little strip are working really hard to get that foot traffic in the door. and helping people know that we're here, because we've got Alderbrook over in Union, which is a huge draw. Anybody that's going to camp on the Olympic Peninsula or has an Airbnb, I mean, there's gorgeous properties here that people rent out during the summer, or they have a seasonal home. But traditionally, I guess in the past 20 years or so, this street in particular, people have just kind of avoided.
So you just keep going and to the next street and skip this one.
Yes, exactly. Huh. Yeah. So we're working with, there's a small business association called the Downtown Merchants, Shelton Downtown Merchants. So they make a shopping and dining map that is helpful. And then there's an organization, but it's Hood Canal based. So the branding is all Hood Canal tourism. So trying to tap into that a little bit more.
And that's probably promoting all the hamlets and villages on the Hood Canal. Great.
Correct.
I love it. It's Shelton seems like it has a reputation in the past. I'm talking like the 70s and 80s of like logging and fishing.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
It's still a mill town.
Okay.
And oyster industry is huge around here. We've got Taylor Shellfish kind of in the Olympia direction, and then Hama Hama's up on Hood Canal, but there's lots of smaller shellfish industry. And so, yeah, it's a really blue collar town. But there are these sort of pockets of vacationers and, higher end interests.
Well,
that are around.
the foodies would want to come for the oysters. I
Absolutely.
noticed that you have really cute oyster stickers here for those foodies. That's so much fun.
Molly made those too. Yeah, she's
I love it. That's
diverse
great.
artist.
Well, what brought you here, and how did this all this journey bring you from working in high-end retail to House Flowers?
Great question. So my partner is from north of Seattle, so I guess the short answer would be love.
Yes. Which is legit.
Yeah, the long answer is I met my partner almost 20 years ago in Alaska, and spent a little bit of time in Seattle, but then ended up moving to Chicago and spent about 10 years there. He joined me there for the last 4, and then we decided to make the move out here. And we've been here for 6 years, and originally moved to a little off-season vacation rental and just kind of let the wind blow us where it was going to. And we ended up finding a piece of land that's about 20 minutes outside of town here, where I was able to start growing flowers.
That's amazing.
I'd always thought about that in Chicago, but never had the opportunity, apartment living. And it was sort of the era of like, Florette's first book, Erin's first book came out, and everybody was like, oh my God, I want to be a flower farmer. And I got bit by that bug completely. But I already had this whole life as a designer. So I went from thinking that 500 white roses in a ball was the most luxurious thing you could possibly have, to thinking that a ranunculus in my front yard was like the most precious, most beautiful, most valuable thing in the universe, So I had a huge mindset shift.
Yeah, your evolution in a way went in the opposite direction of so many people.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. So it's been a really interesting shift, and trying, I think, to show people that these like really precious things are actually the most luxurious, because there's so much care taken into bringing them into life and sharing them with people, and sharing them with people that I know. Like being able to have a customer come in and say, what do you have? And I say, well, I grew these and I know you and I love sharing them with you. It's this like, it is a really small town kind of beautiful thing. But Shelton does have that history as a florist too. There was a florist here that now runs Lynch Creek Dahlias. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
I've heard of them.
They had a flower shop here. So Shelton's, and they grew a lot of their own flowers. So Shelton's really familiar with this model, but it got kind of forgotten along the way. And so when I tell people that I grow a lot of stuff or I source locally, they are really interested in that. So
I love that story.
Nice part of it.
When you were in Alaska and in Chicago, were you working as a floral designer?
Well, in Alaska, I wish I could go back to that time, because I was really very, very new in the floral world. I'd worked for about 6 months in a flower shop in the town that I went to college in. And I was pretty much a bucket scrubber, you know, I didn't really do a whole lot. And I found this job, a posting on the internet that was looking for a florist in Alaska. And I'd heard if you had a year of experience, you could get hired anywhere. That's pretty much what you need to break into being a florist. And I thought, well, all they asked me was, so you work at a flower shop? And I said, yeah, absolutely. I do. And they said, and you're willing to move to Alaska? And I said, yes, absolutely, 100%.
That's incredible.
And so they hired me, but the place where I was working was called Jewel Gardens, and it doesn't exist anymore. Sadly, the owner passed away, but she had created this absolute paradise, and it was a show garden. And people would come off the cruise ships and have tea. But she was growing delphinium that were 12 feet tall. And it, you know, it's the Southeast Alaska, 16 hours of sunlight. They were growing giant vegetables and all of this just absolutely incredible stuff. And at the time, my eyes didn't know what I was seeing. You know, I was just so new that I had no clue that I was in like one of the most beautiful gardens I could have ever been in. But I feel lucky to have had that experience and to learn from her very early on. So it's been like a real full circle situation.
Goodness. I love that story.
Yeah.
I'm glad you have water back there.
Oh, I know. Well, that was part of the reason why I thought this would be a viable place. One, because it is so small, and two, because there's a big sink. I was like, that's pretty much all I need.
You don't have a cooler here though, do you?
I don't. I have a cooler at my home, and so I'm able to process there and get stuff from my field into the cooler and have it conditioned properly for sale. Thankfully, 2 of the walls here are cinder block, so it actually does stay fairly cool in here, and it's a north-facing window, so the sun never really blasts in. So during the summer, if it gets really, really hot, I'll take stuff home at the end of the night and put it in my cooler and bring it back. But I try to keep the air flowing, but really having that north-facing window is what's keeping it possible.
It's such an interesting point, you know, that whole idea of choosing a location, you have to think through those things.
Yeah, struggle there. But
so you left Alaska and went to Chicago for another job, or?
No, so I moved to Seattle after Alaska, and I was there for about a year, but it was real post-college, like, you know, trying to figure out what to do with my life. Still haven't quite, but aren't we all there a little bit?
I remember my 20s and into my 30s, yeah.
Yeah, and so I spent about a year in Seattle, just wasn't really thriving there, and then I had a community of people in Chicago that I'd known from college, and I just said, just go be with your people, you know, be with your friends, learn who you are, and you'll figure it out eventually. And
so smart. I love that.
Went there and kind of bounced around, worked at some retail situations, and then found myself at an event design place called Revel Decor. They still exist, and freelance there maybe once or twice, and then they were hiring a studio manager, like design director person. So I interviewed and they hired me, and I was there for a couple of years doing like big events. I mean, I was there when the Cubs won the World Series. So we did their whole thing at Navy Pier, weddings for owners of expensive things, you know, all
over the top,
just all kinds of wacky stuff. And it was really fun. And, you know, I was in my mid-20s and I was just working really, really hard all the time. But I learned so much. I was managing crews of freelancers and writing production schedules and doing all the buying and just a lot of stuff. And I also worked for a closed design studio that did really high-end weeklies for hotels and restaurants. So we used to do the flowers for Alinea, which was I don't know how to, like, tweezer food, I guess. Like
really like white linen, fine dining kind of thing.
Yeah, like you would get served a bowl of smoke there. Yeah. I'm not kidding, you know. So we were hanging stuff from the ceiling. We were, you know, all of the weirdest stuff we could do. And it was so, so fun.
And you were doing the floral installation.
Yes, we were doing the flowers there. And so that was really fun because I got to really think outside of the box. And so now, you know, when I see people hanging stuff upside down or all that kind of stuff, I'm like, I feel like don't get me wrong, I love an installation. They're so fun. But I honestly think at this point in my design life, like the most satisfying thing is just an absolutely gorgeous flower arrangement in water, in clear glass. Like there's just nothing better than that.
It's like you're peeling back all of the embellishments that, I don't know, somehow we've been taught make something more special.
Yeah.
And then you're focusing on the actual flower.
Yes.
And the composition.
Yeah, I just feel like I don't think they need any tricks. I think I used to think that they needed a lot of tricks, or that it was more fulfilling to me to like prove that I knew all the tricks, or, you know, that there's this crazy thing you can do to make this look like this, or put it in this shape. And really, like, the way that I connect most to them now is just this, like, they're so beautiful. Just let them be beautiful, you know. Maybe a rose that's been flown all over the world needs a trick, but these flowers do not need tricks. They're absolutely incredible. So, yeah, I just feel really thankful to be able to work with product that's this gorgeous. And I love being able to share that with people.
Yeah, like all the tricks and I don't know, gadgets and gizmos and, you know, things that people are doing. And I know that there's a gee whiz factor to, you know, reflexing a petal of a tulip or a rose. But
sure.
I feel like the people who respond to that the most are, if I happen to do a lecture for a garden club and they want a little floral design, interactive floral design activity for the attendees, well, that's the kind of thing that florists know, but the home gardener doesn't necessarily. And so, yes, I admit I've shown people how to do that.
Oh, absolutely. And I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to get people to engage more deeply with any of this stuff. Like, if there's something that you can do to catch somebody's attention so that you can get their ear and tell them why local flowers are important, why you don't have to sacrifice beauty to reduce your carbon footprint. You know, it doesn't have to be a sacrifice to have these things in our lives. I don't know. You don't have to sacrifice beauty to be thoughtful.
Well, you're really good at this storytelling. Like, you're able to take a stranger off the street and maybe just through a conversation, maybe either determine what they're interested in or draw them out. And then when they leave, they're more knowledgeable.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I love teaching, and I've made that a part of my business model now. So I do teach classes, and I just love seeing people learn. I love seeing people open their eyes a little bit to something that they hadn't seen before, because I do, not to be super woo-woo about it, but I think it changes who you are as a person. I think it changes how you interact with the world when you have those layers peeled back a little bit and take 2 seconds to appreciate that there's so much gorgeous stuff all around us all the time. The world is a hard place, and we need to take 10 seconds in our day to let some beauty soak in so that we're nice to each other and appreciate being alive, you know? There's nothing, flowers do that so beautifully. They help us see beauty and appreciate that life is fleeting, you know?
Well, it's so interesting too, because you live at the gateway to the Olympic National Forest. I mean, this is the most remarkable, you know, natural destination that defines the Pacific Northwest. So you have people who I would hope have that level of awareness, like we're in a special place here.
Yes, yeah, I hope so. And helping people know that they can, you know, that all of this is grown, you know, if not right here, very close to here, I think helps them feel like it's a little bit more accessible.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you can grow one dahlia and have it change your whole summer if you let it.
Well, now tell me about that. Are you growing dahlias?
Some,
Okay.
yes, yeah. But I will say, because of where we are and the dahlia farm right down the street,
Maybe they can be your supplier.
I don't take a lot of my time and space growing a lot of dahlias. I think I've probably got 20 plants right now.
Okay.
And I just let them overwinter. I covered them with a bunch of mulch, and, you know, if they make it, that's great. If they don't, I have people walk in. There's so many avid gardeners here as well. And they say, well, I'll give you dahlias.
My goodness.
Okay. I mean, well, that's a luxury, you know?
Yes, we are spoiled in that regard.
Yeah.
So on your property, you said you're growing tulips and narcissus right now. Are you growing in raised beds and crates? How are you growing?
Yeah, I've got, my tulips are in a raised bed. Ranunculus and anemone are in a raised bed right next to that. And then I do have some crates, mostly because I mismanaged my space. Narcissus are all in the ground, hoping that they'll perennialize.
I love it.
And then I keep merging the beds together, so the bed count doesn't even make sense anymore. It used to be like, I started with 16 10x4 beds, and now it's turned into some kind of chaos garden. Like, my poor partner's out there. He took the week off of work this week, and he's out there trying to help weed. And he was like, Megan, there's so many weeds. It's not ready for mulch. And I was like, okay, but if you do try to put mulch here, there's some Orlea that is self-seeded. It's in the pathway, but please don't pull it because I really want that to grow. It's like, that's a great example of my gardening method. Yeah. So that, you know, that is part of the reason why I love bulbs, because I can keep track of them and they really don't take a lot of care, you know, once you get them in the ground. They're not going to spread around. Yeah, exactly. I have a very small greenhouse that I use for some seed starting, and I did force some tulips that I would love to continue to do that, just to have some really local stuff earlier in the season. It's so helpful.
Local. Right.
But mostly field grown stuff. My year in bloom classes focus on one bloom each month. And so I'm trying to focus on producing a lot of each of those, honestly, to keep those classes profitable. But also as like an organization technique for myself, just say, okay, this month you need to have these blooming. So work backwards from that, you know.
I wanted to ask you about that, so that was a perfect segue. And I'm just going to put this on the screen so people can see it, and I'll grab all the other information from your website. Perfect. So you're a year in bloom. Is it ranunculus the first one, or did you start with something before that?
We just did a tulip one last weekend. It was so fun.
Oh my goodness.
And I was able to get a bunch of blooming quince branches. So I did sort of, you know, tulips have this incredible lore behind them. You know, they toppled empires and all this stuff. So we talked a little bit about the history, where they're native to, how they grow, how to grow them if you're a flower grower, how to harvest them, how to care for them, you know, all of these amazing things that they continue to grow in the vase. So how to design with them successfully. And we made arrangements with the avant-garde tulips that I grew, and a couple of other varieties, early ones.
Oh my goodness, look how big that is. It's like a peony. And
then some coral quince. So just really simple blooming branches and tulips, but there's nothing better than that in the spring.
That's your philosophy.
Perfect combination.
So that was like the April?
That was the April class.
Okay, and
yes.
How many students can you accommodate?
I have them listed for just 10. So I do them over at the coffee shop at Marmo, and it makes for a really nice group size. I did up the tickets a little bit on tulips because it sold out really early, which felt amazing. I was so thankful for that. But it's also, people love tulips. When your tulip fans really love them. So that was great. But yeah, 10 is sort of our ideal class size.
And you're going to do this all the way through what, September or?
All the way to December. So
oh my goodness.
Yeah,
it truly is.
Yes,
your year.
Yeah,
I love that.
So October, I think. What are we doing in October? Well,
I'll check your website.
I forget. November we're going to do forced bulbs, so bulb planters, and then December we'll do wreaths because I love a non-traditional wreath.
Yeah.
And we're also in the land of the tree farm of evergreen harvesting. Everybody's got cedar everywhere, and so it's a very abundant region.
It's hyper local.
Yes.
And I saw one of them was priced at $80.
Yes.
But you said the prices change depending on the crop?
They're all $80.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I'm able to either supplement with blooms, say the bugs get something of mine. So I want to be able to make sure that I have enough product for everybody to have a nice time.
Is this the first year you've done this?
Yes, it's the first year that I've done a full year of classes. I have taught in the past and I really do enjoy it. I do botanical printing too, so I've taught that before. That's a really fun one to do with the younger group too. And I've done some less pointed design classes, just sort of basics of floral design. But I really like being able to incorporate the growing tips and harvesting and all of that because there are so many people here who do grow flowers but wouldn't be able to tell you a ranunculus corm from a anemone corm.
Right.
But, at the end of this, they'll know that little octopus guy is going to make these incredible blooms. And
I'm going a little bit backwards here because we talked about the fact that you opened here kind of at the prompting of your friend who owns the coffee shop a couple doors down. But at the time, were you primarily just doing weddings and events? And I don't mean just in diminishing that,
no,
but non-retail in that regard.
No, not at all. The flowers were definitely not part of my primary income stream. I had a full-time job working for Hama Hama Company, which is an oyster farm on Hood Canal, and I was working in their wholesale department, doing direct to chef oyster sales.
Because of course you're good at sales.
Well, I'm good at perishables.
Okay,
and
that's
so,
a niche.
Yeah, right. And so I started working there, just in their saloon when we first moved here because I, needed a job. And the winter started coming, and all of their restaurant is outdoors. And I said, I really like it here. I like the people here. I have a totally different skill set that you guys don't know about. So maybe I could be a good fit somewhere. And so I started working in the wholesale department. And, oysters and flowers actually do have a lot in common. They're highly seasonal, highly perishable, and a luxury good, for the most part. So you find that there's a lot of similarities between chefs and florists. Not surprising. So
I love that.
Trying to explain the unique qualities of something while knowing that the clock is ticking on how long it's going to be good for. It's the through line between those two career paths, sort
Amazing.
of. So I feel like it did help me still hone my skills as a florist as well, even though I was sort of out of the industry. But while I was working there, I was able to build the farm kind of in the background. So weekends I'm planting bulbs and digging beds and moving dirt and all that. And so when I started the shop, I still worked there full time until the January before that, January 2025.
So you overlapped with a full-time job and the shop for over 6 months.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And then coming into that next season, that fall I'd planted 2,000 tulip bulbs, and I just knew I wasn't going to be able to continue on both paths.
Right.
So I chose this one. I said, it's just time to take the leap. Why
I
not?
love it. Well, you have this retail background, you have this sales background, you have this luxury goods background, and I think crossing over into oysters, it is like the food industry's version of couture, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Yeah.
And so the customer, especially the chef, is asking you questions about I guess, about taste the way a floral customer would ask about fragrance or vase life, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, all these really niche qualities that you have to know the answers to, in order to make it work.
And tell a story around.
Yeah, exactly. Just like, I know where these came from. And in the same way, when I was talking to chefs, I knew where the oysters were farmed because it was a really incredible company to work for. But also, I mean, these are people who, the farmer comes in and delivers the oysters. So it's really a beautiful small community that is, I guess, within that company, and so it just feels like it really aligns with my kind of values and what it is that I think are, is important.
But also you're comfortable with restaurant environments. So that's why you have a few clients in the food service industry, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. I do the flowers for Marmo weekly, and for any of their events or things like that, I'll bring over something lovely, which is great. And then there's a restaurant just a few blocks away called From Yola, and they're an incredible Lebanese restaurant that just opened up this year. And so I do the weekly flowers for them as well, but I'm always looking to expand that. I love that type of work. I think it's really fun.
So this is what people will see when they come in, and you'll price these by the stem.
Correct.
Great.
Yes.
What a nice display.
And I'll have narcissus, and I've got a ton of these avant-garde tulips, so I sort of shopped with these in mind as being part of the display as my focal. And then I've also got Palmyra tulips, so that dark purple. So that'll sort of be the dark end of the spectrum. So it'll be dark purple, pink, chartreuse, yellow.
I love that. So another week you might have more of a warm tones like oranges or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think it helps people. I think also because I am fussy about design. So when people have flowers from the shop, I do want them to look a certain way, even if they've picked out their own stems. Most of the time, if I don't have anything pre-made, or if people, aren't seeing something that's perfectly right for them, I'll say I'd be happy to make you something as well. And I'll ask for a price point, and if there are any stems that really speak to them, like is there any flower in there that you really want? And so I'll sort of get that and then go from there. Some people love to pick out just one or two stems, and then I'll throw in some foliage and then wrap it with paper and a bow. And
I see you have
make it nice.
All the local Salal and Huck here.
Yes,
this
so
is
lucky for
very
that.
Shelton.
Yes, yeah. I get my greens from Wild Greens International, and Renee, the owner there, is very kind to let me just buy 5 or 6 bunches because he ships all over the place. He's got crates and semis of Salal going out, and I'm like, Renee, can I have 3 bunches?
I'm a little local florist. So you were saying this, you like to make like kind of the design arrangement for the shop for the weekend.
Yes, like a display.
Yeah.
So I'll use whatever leftovers I have from the prior week to create something that's going to catch people's eye. So usually when the shop is open, I'll put my little bench outside, and I've got my little sign, and then I want something that makes people say, whoa, when they walk by, to try to catch people.
And will it be on the bench outside, or will it be, okay.
Yeah.
I love it. All right.
Well, thankfully we're in the shade.
Right.
So it's not, it doesn't get blasted by the sun.
Megan, while you're designing, I think I want to ask you a question we talked about off camera, which is the name House Flowers. I assumed it was a play on your last name, Homewood, which I guess is kind of in the same word family.
Yes.
But you had a different explanation.
Yeah. So I had, a shower idea, I guess, when things come to you. And so what if there was house flowers and there was party flowers, and the house flowers are just these simple, beautiful blooms that you have around you to, enhance your day-to-day life. They're not super fancy. They're not for your party. They're not for your wedding. They're just your house flowers. They're easy. Then they make your life nicer.
They kind of create the environment that you see every day as a backdrop to your life. Then.
Yeah, exactly. And so I just sort of thought, I feel like in the US, I guess generally, like the idea of having flowers in the home isn't something that people value a ton. And in other places it is a little bit more traditional. You just bring flowers home because they're lovely to have in the house. And so I just wanted to sort of embrace that a little bit and maybe put it in people's head that house flowers is a thing that they can have.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. Do you think you'll have a separate division called party flowers sometime?
Honestly, I would love to. And
that's a great idea.
Maybe that's just what the website needs, is it just says either enter house flowers or enter party flowers. What are you looking for?
That's fun. And I guess the house flowers also, it reflects what you were saying earlier about how flowers don't need to have a lot of tricks, that they can just be quietly beautiful from nature.
I'd say this arrangement is going to be 3-sided because I'm arranging with placement in mind, which I think is always helpful. If you know where your flowers are going to go, you can be much more intentional about where you need to put them. So I'm sort of designing this in a kind of classic shape. I tend to do sort of the S curve shape. I think it's so beautiful. And so I'm creating this kind of tighter base down here and then starting my shape with these sort of bigger line elements. And then I'll be filling in with my other stuff. But as far as mechanics go, I have a hairpin frog in the bottom.
And some chicken wire. And
some coated chicken wire and tape. We're not messing around, even though this doesn't have to travel. Just having things sturdy, I think is...
and people might be touching it, or...
People touch the flowers in it's so funny, mostly because they don't know that they're real.
Right.
They say, "Are these real?"
Right.
And I try not to yell at them. I would never, but I say, yeah, everything's real. They're all real. But it's such an amazing compliment, because the idea that something is too beautiful to be believed is like the most incredible compliment.
But you're not, I don't want to assume, but would you sell this if someone asked, or is it just display?
It's just display. Yeah, I feel like it's funny because my perception of what I think is appropriate for retail and what is an event flower, I'm thankful that I have the experience in both industries to
the training and
to say this isn't going to last 5 days in a vase, which is my minimum of what I want something to last for somebody, unless there's an understanding, unless when they come in and I've got some crazy special bloom. I mean, even dahlias, 5 days is long for a dahlia. So I do try to skew the varieties towards the ball shape, or the ones that last a little bit longer. But I want people to be able to expect at least 5 days out of a cut flower from this shop, and that's why I won't sell that. These daffodils that are absolutely gorgeous, but they're totally blown open.
But they'll be fine to wow someone when they walk in the door.
Absolutely.
And prompt a question.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So it's nice to, and these incredible, gorgeous, but they probably would last another week in the vase, to be honest, because ranunculus are incredible like that. But for me, I think
you might sell it a little tighter then.
Oh yes, absolutely. Like my preferred,
like this style right here.
Yes. Yeah, I think right here is perfect. It's poofy enough to really catch somebody's eye, but it's still gonna really swell up.
Yeah, because there's still a very tight center.
Exactly, and it's gonna show all of its petals off.
It sure looks great against this green of your wall too.
Thanks. Yeah,
so you said after you finish this, then you'll make a few of your special orders, or?
Yeah, I have, I'm gonna do the restaurant flowers for Yola.
Yeah, and having the coffee shop is sort of your fellow small business neighbor. It sounds like you do a lot of crossover with workshops there.
Yes, yeah, I'm very thankful for that space, because this space is so small. It would be challenging
Plus the fire marshal wouldn't let you have
I
a
know.
workshop.
Well, I could do private mentorships, I guess.
And then when you're open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're a one-woman show, right? You don't have employees, do you?
I don't have any employees. I have one person who can come and sort of cover for me if I do have an event or something like that. But for the most part, no, nobody but me. So
How's that going?
You know, it's double-edged sword. Like, I don't miss being a manager at all. I don't.
You have years of that
I
behind
did
you,
that.
under your
Yeah.
belt. Yeah.
And I know that it's really hard. It's such hard work. I mean, I have so much respect for people that have the emotional capacity to manage large teams.
Yeah.
It is not easy.
No.
And teaching a lot of people new systems and getting people to, make things the way you want them to look is really challenging. And I think about that a lot for the business. Like, what's my blue sky scenario,
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. What do you see this looking like in 5 years?
I would love to have a robust enough event part that are like small curated events, maybe me and 2 other people to set up, design, really beautiful, intentional design. I'd love to keep teaching. I do love that. And I love the weekly arrangements. My total blue sky, to be honest, would be to have someone else here in the shop.
Sure.
That could take on day-to-day retail operations, and I could be growing, teaching, and handling like smaller event work.
Corporate clients and that sort of thing.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, that's going to happen
Yeah.
for sure.
Thank
We've
you.
just spoken it into the universe, so
Well,
we will
thank
manifest.
you. Yeah, I think that would be really, really amazing.
I think that's every small floral entrepreneur's challenge is how do you grow without basically working to pay your employees?
Yes.
And your profitability right now is your labor because
Absolutely.
you're not having to pay an employee. And so I'm sure
Yeah.
that sometimes you're not paying yourself what you deserve.
That is the truth. But, it's still, I'm in year 2. And so I think, after this year, if the numbers aren't numbering, we'll have to figure something else out. And I am taking on some freelance work this year just to kind of help.
With cash flow and all.
Help with cash flow. Yeah. Got to pay the bills. So as we grow,
Right.
but also because I love that work. I love still learning. I'm a curious person. And so I do love learning what other people are doing. And even though I'm not, trying to employ every trick or, magic way of doing a thing in my own arranging, I love seeing what people are up to. So it's a fun way to stay connected to what's happening in design. And then also being a one-woman show can be kind of lonely.
Yeah.
So it's nice to talk shop with other people. I do really enjoy that and find out what their stories are and what they like doing, what they enjoy.
Well, you have alluded to this community not only with other retailers in the Merchants Association of Shelton, but also in the I just lost the train of thought of what is that, West Sound?
Yeah, West Sound Floral Exchange.
Yeah, let me just start that question again. You've alluded to collaborating with other merchants here in Shelton, but also other flower people with West Sound Floral Exchange. So are you selling through them or are you only buying through them?
This year, I am just going to be buying from them. Last year, I did sign up as a grower, but the wheels fell off my flower bus. And so I said, you know what, just concentrate on what you're skilled at. And so this year, I'm just going to be a buyer and grow as much as I can to sell here at the shop.
I was going to say, sell to yourself.
Exactly, yeah. But they are such an incredible community of skilled growers, and what Jody has built there, I really think is gonna thrive. I think it's amazing.
I think that this area in the kind of
Turn this around for just a sec.
sort of, I don't even know what to call it, the Olympic Peninsula South.
Yeah, South Sound region.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is a little bit has been a little overlooked. Obviously, tourism is here, destination weddings are here, but there's so much room to grow.
Yes.
It's not at capacity. So for you to be here now and capture that, the business as the region gains the reputation, I think is perfect.
Yeah, there is sort of a ground floor feeling here, and the feedback that I get from people regularly is that they're so excited about what we're doing here on Cota Street and the energy that Shelton has right now, and that, you know, there's this sort of momentum that's happening. We started, well, I shouldn't say we, but there's Art Walk has been going on for 3 years here now, or this will be our 3rd year, and I say our because I'm involved in planning. So that happens here on Cota Street in the summer. So we've got vendors and artists show in different, you know, like I'll have a visiting artist come. So the businesses open up as sort of galleries, and it's a really, really fun time. And Shelton is also in the process of applying to have a creative district.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's a Washington State initiative, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So that means we get a sign on the highway,
But also,
also funding and
Wonderful.
lots of other stuff to try to help.
Does the funding come from like the hotel tax and tourism taxes, that
Yes,
sort of thing?
the LTAC funding does help with Art Walk, and some other initiatives here. There's a couple like local festivals that happen that are quite popular. So,
and so you can kind of schedule in and out and around that, so that there's a floral component, or you just, the shop looks fabulous because you know you'll have extra pedestrians in here.
exactly. Yeah. Or trying to make sure that our signage is in the right place for that day, or maybe there's you know, I'm sponsoring something at an event, something like that. But it's all about that sort of community tie-in, buy-in. How do you get in front of the people that are visiting here and might not know? Okay, so I just turned this around and I can see that I've got a very traditional sort of triangle shape, and what I'd like to do is extend it out here and keep this a little shorter. So I'm going to move this. Okay, so we're going to take him out of there.
And try to exaggerate the other side is what you're trying to do.
Yes, exactly. So that it's got a little bit more movement. It's not so...
spray-like.
Yes, yeah.
Well, I'm sure since I'm distracting you, you're not getting your exact process here.
Although it might seem untraditional. Usually I design with the flowers facing me.
Oh.
So it's a little...
You should go ahead and turn it around. I don't mind. Yeah, I'll just come around.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, there we go.
I'll
We
just
can
go-
work from this side.
Yeah.
And then I think...
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. And which variety did you say this was?
These are avant-garde,
Oh my gosh, so pretty.
and they get, I mean, this will continue to get bigger.
While you're wrapping up here, I love that you have right on your blackboard, on your chalkboard, weekly subscriptions available now, starting at $45 a week. So who is your target customer for that, and how is that set up?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's set up, I've got lots of different options. You can get flowers every week, you can get flowers every other week, and you can get flowers once a month.
Okay.
So
So you're just trying to eliminate all the objections.
yes. Well, I do want, you know, I know that flowers are a luxury for a lot of folks, and I think that each to the best of their ability, you know, like if you can afford to have flowers in your house once a month, do it.
Yeah.
If you can afford to have them every week, incredible. And if they last 2 weeks, give someone else your bouquet and you get the fresh ones, like spread it around. But I love the subscriptions because for lots of reasons. One, they do allow me to shop specifically for people. So if you have a specific like or a dislike, like I've got one customer who's got cats that chew everything. So I have to specifically shop for cat-friendly product, which, you know, it is challenging, but I don't mind a design challenge. That's okay.
Right. But she knows you're taking care to think about that. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, yeah, just so shopping specifically for them. And as a business model, it's really amazing to have that steady income, because when I am shopping for the shop, it's really challenging to predict how much to buy with a highly perishable good.
Right.
So as a small business owner, a lot of times it's week to week, you know, depending on what the budget is. And if it's a really slow weekend and I spent $300 on flowers wholesale, that really does make a difference. And it can add up very quickly. So I try to be judicious with my buying, but having that guaranteed revenue is so helpful as a business. And I love building the relationships with people. Like I've got little files, you know, where I say, I gave you this last week and I'll give you this week, you know, so I don't repeat things, and I know their favorite colors, and you know,
wonderful.
I think it's really special to have a florist in your sort of Rolodex to date myself, you know, in your contacts, I guess.
Well, it seems
because we can help you.
Yeah, and it seems like it really does give you another outlet for those stems when you're buying for the shop. If you can also kind of diversify so that some of those stems go to people's homes, and that maybe even changes the palette from what you have here in the shop.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. So like I know that I have to buy for one cat-friendly bouquet, but that also means that I'll almost always have something in the shop that's cat-friendly. So it's nice to kind of be able to offer that to others, because I know that I have one of those sales already made, you know, so I'm able to sort of diversify my offerings a little bit more in that way.
And also knowing that that's just generally a concern among consumers. Then it's, I guess, the vegan equivalent of of a florist.
Yeah, right. I know. I
Tell us what your allergies are, or your pet allergies.
Exactly. What are your pets allergic to? And gosh, I had no idea how toxic so many flowers are to our little feline friends. Yeah. They really can't eat much in the floral world.
I've been noticing that too.
Yeah.
So the subscriptions are kind of on a rolling basis. Like you always have that on your website for people, and it's not seasonal specific? Or?
Yes, that's correct. Last year I offered specifically a spring subscription and a summer subscription as more of a CSA model. And this year I shifted. I had some requests in the winter for fresh flowers, and because we do have the Seattle Growers Market access during the winter, I said, okay, I'll do it. Yeah. And so, yes, the subscriptions are just on a rolling basis. You can cancel at any time. The website asks you to make an account, so it's not like a terrible gym where you have to call them and like feel really bad or talk to anybody. You can cancel and you don't ever have to tell me why. It's totally fine. Sure. But so there's some anonymity there.
You're removing any potential awkwardness.
Yeah. But I mean, of course I understand. But yeah, so it's just a rolling basis. So it could go on as long as you would like it to. And if you were interested in having them as a gift, you can tell somebody that it's a 3-month subscription. You just have to cancel it after 3 months. Yeah, exactly. So you can kind of manage it however you would like. Yeah. I think I'm going to group these a little bit more. So I'm just moving these around because it's still just really giving funeral to me. And
it's not giving me funeral, but I also am feeling like I probably am to blame for your distractions. But right now, fine. I'm really loving it, and I love the
group a little bit more.
Yeah, I see what you're doing, kind of color blocking almost. Yeah. And then to have
so polka dot.
The tulips and narcissus just be so happily coordinated.
Juicy. Probably. These heads are so heavy; they just want to flop, but I can't blame them. Beautiful.
Right. But that also is a nice forward leaning
Yes.
shape that you
yeah,
have
it
too.
becomes very Dutch when you get the tulips drooping down in the front like that. And I
That's great.
can't be mad about that.
Well, as you're wrapping up, I just want to thank you so much,
Well,
Megan,
thank
for
you so much.
inviting me down. And I'm glad that we got to do this in person because
Yes.
I could just watch you design all day. It's really fun.
You're
But
so there we go.
I also think the little jewel box flower shop is a dream so many people have. And you're showing how you did it in a small town that's, got a vibrant, arts community, culinary community, tourism, and you're kind of getting the locals and the tourists all coming together. So I wish you
Yeah.
huge success this season.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thanks for coming.